There comes a point in your life where you look around and nothing feels the same. The conversations that once excited you now drain you. The places you used to go now feel too small. The people you once tried to impress no longer hold power over your spirit. You're not broken, you're evolving. Most people mistake this feeling for emptiness. They think something is wrong. But what's actually happening is growth. Growth feels like discomfort because you're stepping out of an old skin. It feels like loneliness because not everyone can follow you to the next level. It feels like confusion because your old habits no longer fit the person you're becoming. Shi Heng Yi says, when the cup is full, it must be emptied before it can be refilled. Outgrowing the old you means clearing space for the new you. It is not loss, it is preparation. The restlessness you feel, the tension in your heart, the quiet whisper telling you, I can't keep living like this, is not a curse. It is a signal. In this talk, you'll discover 6 unmistakable signs you've outgrown the old you, and why embracing them will transform your life forever. One of the first signs you've outgrown the old you is hidden in your conversations. The topics, jokes, gossip, and noise that once thrilled you now feel strangely heavy. You sit with the same people, you hear the same words, but something inside you no longer responds. This isn't arrogance, this isn't boredom, this is growth. Growth changes your vibration, the things you value shift. The energy you bring to a room becomes different. When you were still the old version of yourself, you needed distraction, noise, and constant stimulation. You needed validation from every comment, approval from every person. But as you begin to grow, silence becomes more attractive than noise. Depth becomes more valuable than small talk. Truth becomes more important than being liked. Shi Heng Yi teaches, as the water in the well becomes clearer, the dirt at the bottom is revealed. The clearer your mind and heart become, the more obvious shallow interactions appear to you. This is not about judging others. It is about recognizing that your soul is craving a higher quality of connection. You will notice you have less patience for gossip, negativity, or empty debates. Your spirit starts to protect its energy. This can feel lonely at first because the circle you once belonged to no longer feels like home. But understand this, it is a sacred sign. You are being invited into a new stage of life where alignment matters more than attention. At this stage, do not try to force yourself back into old conversations. Do not shrink to fit old rooms. Instead, honor the shift, practice silence, listen more deeply. Seek people who challenge you to think, not just react. Seek mentors, books, and environments that stretch your mind rather than numb it. You might even feel guilty for pulling back. You might worry people will think you've changed. The truth is you have changed, and that's exactly what's supposed to happen. You're not better than them. You're simply on a different frequency now. Some will follow you up. Others will stay behind. Both are okay. When you stop finding joy in empty conversations, it's a sign you're becoming more intentional with your time, your energy, and your presence. It's a sign you're ready for deeper connections, stronger boundaries, and a clearer path. It's a signal that the old you, the one who needed constant noise, is gone. Do not mourn this, celebrate it, because the empty space created by leaving shallow talk behind will soon be filled with wisdom, peace, and relationships that truly match who you are becoming. Another unmistakable sign you've outgrown the old you is when your familiar habits suddenly feel like a heavy coat that doesn't fit anymore. You might still be going to the same places, scrolling the same apps, watching the same shows, eating the same food, or wasting time in the same way, but it no longer brings you any relief. What once felt like comfort now feels like a trap. This stage can be confusing. You might think, why don't I enjoy this anymore? You might even try to force yourself back into the old routine, hoping it will give you the same feeling it used to. But the truth is, your internal wiring has changed. Growth rewires your nervous system. What you consume, what you do, and how you spend your time are no longer aligned with who you're becoming. Shi Heng Yi often explains, when the body changes, the posture must change. When the mind changes, the life must change. When your inner life shifts, your outer actions have to follow. If they don't, you feel friction. That friction is not punishment, it's an invitation. It's your inner self telling you, we're done here, it's time to move forward. You may notice that old coping mechanisms, junk food, meaningless scrolling, casual gossip, unhealthy relationships, procrastination start leaving a bitter aftertaste. They don't numb you like before. Instead, they drain you. This is a signal that you're ready for higher forms of nourishment, better routines, better food, deeper rest, more meaningful work, more purposeful movement. It's important not to shame yourself for still being in the old habits. This stage isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. Awareness always comes before change. The moment you see a habit clearly and feel how uncomfortable it is, the habit starts to lose its power over you. That's growth. At this stage, begin experimenting. Replace one draining habit with a nourishing one. If social media scrolling no longer comforts you, try reading or meditating instead. If late nights leave you empty, try waking up earlier to move or to sit in silence. If a certain friend group constantly drags you into negativity, create more space and seek out people who uplift you. This isn't about becoming someone else overnight. It's about aligning your daily actions with the person you are becoming. The more you honor the discomfort of old habits, the more energy you'll have for new ones. Feeling uncomfortable in old routines is not a sign you're lost. It's a sign you're evolving. You're no longer satisfied with crumbs because you've tasted something deeper. When your habits shift, your identity shifts. And when your identity shifts, your destiny shifts. A powerful sign you've outgrown the old you is when the goals you once obsessed over no longer excite you the same way. You remember the late nights you spent dreaming about that car, that status, that relationship, that number in your bank account. You built your identity around those ambitions, and now, strangely, they feel flat. You might even hit some of them and feel nothing. This can be disorienting, but it's also sacred. Growth means your values have shifted. The old you may have been driven by survival, ego, or outside approval. The new you is hungry for alignment, contribution, and depth. It's not that goals don't matter, it's that your definition of a goal has evolved. You begin to care less about how things look and more about how things feel. Less about applause and more about peace. Less about collecting things and more about becoming someone. Shi Heng Yi says, when the horizon expands, the first mountain you wanted to climb suddenly looks small. This is not failure, this is vision. When your vision grows, the old destinations lose their power. That can leave you feeling lost for a while. But you're not lost, you're being called higher. You'll notice you hesitate to chase goals that don't resonate anymore. Your energy naturally pulls away from empty pursuits. You may even question your career, your environment, or your relationships. This questioning is not weakness, it's your inner compass realigning itself. At this stage, resist the urge to panic. Don't cling to old dreams just because you invested time in them. Don't force yourself to care about something just because it once defined you. Instead, make space. Allow a season of clarity. Journal, meditate, walk in silence, spend time in nature. Let new visions rise from within rather than from comparison. This shift can also affect how you measure success. Instead of measuring in trophies, you start measuring in mornings of peace. Instead of measuring in titles, you measure in integrity. Instead of measuring in how many people know your name, you measure in how many lives you quietly elevate. This is maturity. This is freedom. You might disappoint some people who liked the old version of you. They might call you unmotivated or lazy, but you're not lazy. You're aligning. You're moving from hustle without meaning to action with purpose. And action with purpose is unstoppable. When your goals change, it means your identity is changing. And when your identity changes, your destiny opens. The old you chased goals to prove something. The new you chooses goals to express something. That's the difference between striving and flowing. That's the difference between exhaustion and power. Another clear sign you've outgrown the old you is when you begin to guard your energy with a seriousness you never had before. People, habits, and environments that once drained you but were normal now feel unbearable. You find yourself thinking twice before saying yes to invitations. You crave silence, rest, and meaningful presence more than you crave distraction. This isn't because you're becoming antisocial. It's because you've finally realized your energy is your life. The old you gave your energy to anyone who asked. You tried to be available for everyone, and in doing so, you left nothing for yourself. But growth teaches you that energy is a currency. Where you spend it determines your future. This is why you feel a deep pull to set boundaries now, even when it's uncomfortable. Shi Heng Yi often says, "The breath you waste cannot be taken back. Choose where you place it." When you grow, you realize every conversation, every meeting, every digital scroll is an exchange of breath, focus, and attention. You no longer want to waste it on gossip, arguments, or things that make you feel small. You want to invest it where it multiplies, in self-care, learning, relationships that elevate you, and work that matters. At first, protecting your energy may make you feel guilty. You might worry people will think you're selfish or cold. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls, they're doors. They let the right things in and keep the wrong things out. Saying no is not rejection, it's direction. This is also when you start noticing how environments affect you. The music you listen to, the social media you consume, the people you sit next to, all of these shape your mind and heart. When you're outgrowing the old you, you start curating these inputs like a gardener pulling weeds. You remove what's toxic, even if it's familiar, and you water what's healthy, even if it's new. Practically, this might look like unfollowing accounts that drain you, spending less time with people who constantly complain, or scheduling time alone to recharge. It might look like being intentional with your mornings, your sleep, your food, and your breath. It's not about perfection. It's about protecting the seeds you're planting. As you protect your energy, you'll notice a new kind of strength rising. Your mind feels clearer. Your body feels lighter. Your intuition speaks louder, and the relationships that remain in your life feel deeper and more balanced. This is not an accident. It's the result of you treating your energy as sacred. When you reach this stage, the old you who scattered their attention everywhere is gone. The new you invests energy wisely, and that is one of the strongest signs you're becoming someone you've never been before. One of the clearest signals you've outgrown the old version of yourself is when you stop fearing being alone. For years you might have filled every spare moment with noise, people, scrolling, calls, TV, music, anything to keep from sitting with your own thoughts. The old you used company as a way to avoid your inner voice, but the new you begins to crave solitude, not as an escape, but as a home. This isn't isolation. This isn't withdrawal. This is a deeper understanding that your inner world needs space to breathe. You start seeing that every major decision, every breakthrough, every true insight you've had came in a moment of stillness. Shi Heng Yi says, the seed doesn't grow in the noise of the market, it grows in the quiet of the soil. When you grow, you start to build that quiet soil for yourself. At first, solitude can feel uncomfortable. Without distractions, you're left with your own mind, and that can be confronting. Old emotions, unhealed wounds, or doubts may surface, but instead of running from them, you now face them. You sit, breathe, and let them pass through. This practice transforms your relationship with yourself. You stop being a stranger to your own soul. Embracing solitude also changes how you relate to others. You no longer look for people to fill a void. You look for people to share your overflow. You're no longer afraid of losing someone's attention because you've learned how to hold your own. This makes your relationships healthier. You give out of fullness instead of emptiness. Practically, this may look like setting aside time each morning to sit in silence, going for walks without your phone, or taking breaks from social media. It may look like journaling, meditating, or simply staring at the sky. It's not about doing nothing. It's about being present without distraction. As you grow comfortable with solitude, you'll notice your intuition sharpening. Ideas come more clearly. Decisions feel lighter. Your nervous system calms down. You begin to enjoy your own company. And from that state, you attract different people and opportunities, ones that resonate with your peace rather than your restlessness. This shift is powerful. It means you're no longer controlled by the fear of being alone. You've moved from needing noise to choosing silence. The old you filled every gap with distraction. The new you uses every gap to grow. That's how you know transformation is happening. When you embrace solitude, you're not cutting the world off. You're preparing to show up to it more whole. And that is one of the surest signs you're stepping into a new level of life. The final and perhaps most powerful sign you've outgrown the old you is when you no longer live for other people's approval. For most of your life, you may have measured your worth by how others saw you, the likes, the praise, the nods, the applause. The old you built decisions around avoiding criticism and chasing validation. But one day, quietly, you realize you're done performing. You realize you don't need permission to live your own life. This is not arrogance. This is self-trust. It's the deep understanding that your inner compass is more reliable than outside noise. Shi Heng Yi says, a lion does not ask the forest's opinion before it moves. When you reach this stage, you start making choices based on your principles, not your fears. You start saying no, even if it disappoints people. You start saying yes, even if no one else understands. At first, this shift can be scary. You'll feel naked without the old armor of approval. You may even experience pushback from friends or family who are used to the old version of you, but this discomfort is a sign of growth. It means you're building a life that matches your values instead of a life built to please. You also start seeing criticism differently. Instead of taking it as a wound, you take it as data. Instead of chasing compliments, you look for feedback. Instead of needing to be liked, you focus on being real. This makes you calmer, clearer, and more decisive. Practically, this may look like changing your career path. ending a relationship, speaking your mind, or simply not explaining yourself as much. It may look like taking time to sit with your decisions instead of immediately polling others. It may look like trusting your gut even when logic and external voices tell you otherwise. When you stop needing approval, you start living from a deeper place. Your energy stops leaking into managing other people's perceptions and starts flowing into actual creation. You become lighter because you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. You become more magnetic because people can sense authenticity. You become freer because you've detached from outcomes you can't control. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop outsourcing your self-worth. You still listen, you still learn, but the final word comes from within. That's the shift from external control to internal mastery. When you reach this stage, the old you who lived for likes, applause, and approval is gone. The new you moves from self-trust, self-respect, and inner freedom. And that is the ultimate signal you've outgrown the old you. You're not just changing habits now, you're changing identity. You're no longer surviving, you're leading your own life. And now, brother or sister, if you're hearing these words, it's because something inside you is already shifting. These 6 signals aren't random. They're proof that you're stepping out of the old version of yourself and stepping into a stronger, clearer, freer you. It's not always comfortable. It's not always glamorous, but it is always worth it. Stop apologizing for your growth. Stop shrinking to fit old rooms. Stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. Trust yourself. Protect your energy. Embrace the silence. Walk your own path. If this message reached you at the right time, help me share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, leave a comment telling me which signal spoke to you the most, and subscribe for more Shi Heng Yi style wisdom so you never forget how powerful you really are.